You're listening to a Rock Candy podcast.
What exactly makes Beyoncé the queen bee?
How do we feel about Ariana Grande's use of rap vernacular?
And most importantly, what's better, chamomile or spiced chai?
We ponder all of this and more on Hot Tea Hot Takes, now a part of the Rock Candy Podcast Network.
Our show is just two friends drinking tea and discussing music, culture, politics, and anything else that comes to mind.
We cover everything from Mozart to Megan Thee Stallion.
New uploads are posted weekly. Look for it wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you soon.
Bye!
What's up? Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Pickle and Boot Shop.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pickle and Boot Shop. I'm your host, the Macho Man, Joe Yerke. Oh, yeah.
This is Hulk Hogan, brother. Woo! Oh, that was more Hacksaw. I have too high of a voice.
That was more Ric Flair.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that Ric Flair?
Woo!
Woo! There's
Yeah.
a dude in our city who does a lot of like youth sports. He's a good like local coach.
Yeah.
And he always does. Give me two claps and a Ric Flair, and then all the kids will like clap, woo!
They're like, who is that, Grandpa?
Yeah, like what do you mean? He's the limo driving, airplane flying, Rolex wearing, all that stuff that Ric Flair used to say.
Yeah, and they don't know.
God rest his soul, right?
I had to explain who Kurt Cobain is to a young lady today who was born in 2006.
Oh.
I was trying to get her to take her pills, and she refused. And I was like, this one's good. This is what Kurt Cobain used to take. It's lithium. And she was like, no, I won't. Who's Kurt Cobain? Is he emo? I was like, holy shit. Have you not heard of Nirvana?
He's the emoist.
He's the emoist. He was so emo, he killed himself. Which I don't recommend for you kids.
Yeah, that's boss level emo. Mm-hmm. That's boss level emo.
That's when you win at emo.
Yeah, but in this day and age with mental health,
No one wants to win that game. Am I right or am I right? Is this an audience or an oil painting?
What? Yeah.
How do you get away from us?
Starting out talking about Kurt Cobain's suicide.
As boss
George,
level.
Let's talk about George Reeves' suicide. George Reeves, the guy that played Superman,
Let's
shot
talk
himself
about Christopher Reeves.
faster
and his,
than a speeding bullet.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Is that funny?
No. Let's talk about
Reeves.
Christopher Reeves and his horse riding abilities.
Yeah.
That was bad. That should be edited out. I feel bad for that one.
Now it's too late.
Now, it is too late. It's out in the potosphere. It's out in the brainwashing sphere. You guys, I honestly do, because Reese can leave this in. I honestly do feel
No, I'll
bad
take
for
it
just
out.
making that joke.
Oh.
I feel bad for making that joke. I didn't like it.
Well, we were going to a dark place, Joe. We were talking about suicide right off.
Yeah, right off the rip. Right off the rip we were. And I don't want to, because that's not... I think we've already had one of those specials.
The suicide special?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I think so. And here in Detroit, not only are the Suicide Machines one of the greatest punk ska bands of all time, in my eyes, when you're just
It's
talking
fact.
straight punk ska,
It's
they
fact,
are the
dude.
greatest.
It's a fact.
Yeah, punk ska band of all time. Destruction by Definition, amazing. But also Jack Kevorkian, who invented the Suicide Machine, he's from Detroit as well. So, you know.
So not just Jack Kevorkian and his suicide machine, but the Suicide Machines, who were called Jack Kevorkian and the Suicide Machines.
Correct. All from this area.
It's good to know.
I was actually driving by one day. I drove by a house, and I drove by the house, and I went into a local hardware store that was about 100 yards from the house. And I drive by the house, and I drive into the parking lot, and I go into the hardware store, and as I come out of the hardware store, all these cars are like, all these police cars are pulling up, screeching in, like up on the front lawn, all that stuff. I was like, what in the world is going on? So I kind of like sit there for a minute. Then all of a sudden, like the news is pulling up, all these different things. And I've always been one to kind of like know my role. So I don't like sit around and watch. I kind of think those people are morons. And so I just left. I didn't want to be another person that could be interfering. So I left. And then I saw on the news that night that Jack Kevorkian had assisted a suicide at that location.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like what he would do is he would go and he would like assist people in suicide, and then he would drive away, and then he would call like 911 and say, hey, at this house this person has committed suicide.
He'd call like 6 hours later.
Yeah, after lividity had set in.
See if you can stop it now. Mm-hmm. Cops.
Insert maniacal laughter.
Ha ha! That was how he laughed. That was more like it.
Yeah.
That's a
something
good
like
one.
that. Thank you. That's my maniacal laughter.
really good.
What have you done this week, man?
I have gone to work.
How is that? How is it after a year off being a working stiff now?
It's tough. It's hard. So it was like 9 months off. 9 months. It was hard for me. It's hard for me to wake up and go to work at 7 a.m. as it should
Yeah.
be for anyone because it's not natural.
Well, it is for me. I love going to work at. I don't wake up at 7. I wake up at 6, 5:45.
Yeah.
Sometimes my body just wakes up at 5. I've been on a kick lately where I just wake up at 5 in the morning, and then there's no use going back to sleep for an hour because then you got to wake up twice, right? So that sucks.
That sounds like I've been on a kick lately. I just like to slam my testicles in the car door. Mm-hmm. That
In a desk drawer.
yeah, it's just like something I like to do. I just do it.
Yeah.
It's so unnatural for me to get up at that time. Like, if I could have a time slot that I was going to do it, it'd be like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. I would work that shift,
Oh,
but
my.
nobody is asking me.
Maybe you should ask. Be a go-getter.
Yeah, they'd be like, I don't even remember your name, but you don't work here anymore. See ya. So,
You're like, but I'm the guy making $5 an hour
yeah,
to
they're
beat
like,
up kids.
Definitely you're out of here.
Yeah, to beat up kids and tell them about Kurt Cobain. Explain to them the nuances of mental health and Kurt Cobain.
No, this
that's
is why
subtle.
you need to take your drugs. He did drugs. You
Yeah,
guys, if you want to be cool, you need to do these drugs.
Yeah, you could write amazing songs about mosquitoes and libidos. Yeah. What's your favorite Nirvana song?
It probably Smells Like Teen Spirit. Because like I remember when it came out, it legitimately, I had spent like the last 5 years before that just wishing that heavy music would get attention. And so like it just never happened. You know, like you'd watch MTV, you'd watch Headbangers Ball, which had nothing to do with headbanging. Then they'd get to finally the triple thrash threat, and there was like a couple songs they just kept going, like that Prong song, Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck.
Yeah.
And there'd be like maybe a Suicidal Tendencies song, and then some other song. One time they played Deliverance, you know, but it was mostly just not stuff you could bang your head to. It was just glam
Wasn't it
rock.
like, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Wasn't it glam rock? Because that was still, what year are you talking?
Like 90, 91, 92. I think
Okay,
Smells Like
so-
Teen Spirit, like Nevermind came out, I think, in 91, that summer. Maybe that fall.
Yeah.
But I just
I think
remember
that
all of a
fall.
sudden it was like, oh my gosh, this is like almost punk rock. It is so cool. Like way more melodic punk rock. And so like they played it and I was like, this video is cool. This band is cool. Everything. And then it just kind of opened it up. Like all of a sudden they're just like, well, maybe we should play some Metallica. And then Metallica Black Album got huge and it was like all of a sudden music was cool.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah. I remember I was a freshman in high school when Smells Like Teen Spirit really came alive. And that's really when music hit me. I was like a little jock, you know, like elementary school and junior high, you're all about like sports and ESPN and basketball and football and all that stuff. And that's what I was into.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, I had an art class my freshman year. And in the art class, the art teacher would let the students put music on.
Yeah.
And so the seniors were the ones who would play the music. And so in my art class, it was like a freshman art class. And then there were seniors in there that were kind of doing like an advanced at the same time. And I forget the girl's name, but I'm looking at her and she looks almost exactly. She looked like back then. She looked almost exactly like Elaine from Seinfeld. If like Elaine dressed kind of like more like hippie stylish, that's what this girl looked like. And I forget her name. And she was the first one that I ever heard like put on like Pearl Jam 10.
Yeah.
And so I'm like sitting there and that's playing through the stereo that was in the room. And I was like, this is amazing. Like for like a week, that's all we listened to was that on repeat. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Went out and bought that album. And then same thing. She put on Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Same thing. I was blown away by that music, by that style. I loved it. There was something different about it. I was still kind of clinging to my jock kind of roots. So I wasn't all in, but I really, really loved it. And I think, but by listening to that kind of turned me on to now all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, there's more than just like this glam rock that's out there.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't a big fan of. And what's funny is Nirvana actually then introduced me probably through what you're saying. Like, I guess I didn't realize, I'm going to call it the politics of like radio and MTV. I guess I'm naive to, at that time, what was on the radio, because I really wasn't listening to anything. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, here's Pearl Jam, here's Nirvana. And then I heard Green Day. And then all of a sudden I was like, I was sold on Green Day.
Yeah, Dookie was groundbreaking. Like, that was such a game changer for me.
Yeah. And so this kind of conversation started off by, I asked you what your favorite Nirvana song is. Mine was, because I didn't hear necessarily Smells Like Teen Spirit first, I listened to the whole album, so I didn't know what the single was off that album because this girl played it. Mine was always the one, Underneath the Bridge, top is sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets, and I'm living off of grass. Do you know that one?
No. I haven't listened to it in like 20 years.
The way. Yeah, Something's in the Way, I think is the name of the song.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. And I've come to find out later that when they recorded that album, they couldn't get the right sound for that. And Kurt Cobain would like go in to record and they couldn't get the right vocals and like what he wanted to do. And what he ended up doing was they set up a mic by the mixing board. And you know, because there's always like the recording, the studio part, the pod that you go in and you record, and then there's on the other side of the glass the big mixing board. For those of you that don't know, there's usually a big mixing board. You've probably seen it in movies or in videos. There's the big mixing board, and then everybody's kind of sitting in rolly chairs, or there's couches and stuff like that in there. And so Kurt Cobain, they set up a mic, and he laid down on his back.
What?
And so. Yeah, so for whatever reason, like him laying on his back, all chill, and the way the vocal cords lay in the throat, he sang that song, and he did that while laying on his back. And so I've tried to sing Insider songs laying on my back, and it's almost impossible between breathing, and it changes like the muscle. So again, if you guys are listening, I don't know if Reese does this, but for me, there's like a muscle memory in your throat, and so you understand that when you're singing a song, your throat feels a certain way, and even if you can't hear yourself through a monitor, you can usually be pretty much on by just the feeling in your throat, knowing that okay, you know, my throat, it has to feel like this in order to get this sound. And so to sing an Insider song like laying on your back, for me it's next to impossible, because it changes all that muscle feeling.
Yeah. And
for Kurt Cobain to do that, I thought that was like, I don't know, maybe it's just something for me. I don't know if other people find as much excitement in that, but I always thought that, I only heard of this story maybe 2 years ago, and I thought that was the coolest thing, that he laid on his back and sung that song.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I usually record in the booth, like in with the mixing board. In the buff. We have done that. It's in underwear. We had Underwear Day in the studio, but it doesn't make you
That was not Leonore's
sing
favorite day. That was not Leonore's favorite day.
No, it was. She loved it.
She loved just rocking out the bra and draws in there with her cousin and all her best friends.
And all her best friends that are like brothers. Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool, dude.
I'm sure she dug it. She dug it like a grave.
What's that?
So,
how'd you get that brown strap down the back of your pants?
Yeah, that's pretty rad. What was that,
rad,
Taco
dude.
Tiende? That's pretty rad. What was that? A crazy night at Taco Tiende and a couple of kumbachas? Looks like you just drank a 6-pack of kombucha and had a couple bowls of chili.
Hang on, I'm making that to the name of this episode.
Did you see that you named 2 episodes in a row, episode 28?
Yeah, and it took me a week to fix it.
I thought it was hilarious. I was actually thinking that you should just start calling every episode from here on out
Episode 28. I was thinking
episode
about
28.
it would just have
But it
a
would be like
different name.
Yeah, exactly. Like episode 28, 6-pack of kombucha. Episode 28, like, you know, and then the next one.
All the guys from
hilarious.
Rock Candy would be emailing around the clock. Hey, about your formatting. Hey, the formatting is off.
One of our listeners on the Diabolical Discussion page was like, hey, I haven't listened in a while. Which number 28 should I listen to first? And he had like a screenshot of like what his like Spotify was showing. I thought that was hysterical.
No, I
wanna
fixed it.
I want to get back into, because I think we just started to scratch the surface on like a topic that I don't think we're planning for. Mm-hmm. But I liked it was, let's get back to, because you're what, 3-4 years older than me, 3 years older than me? What year did you
4
graduate?
days older than you, Joe.
Right.
I'm a young
right.
man in my
I know.
prime.
In your prime. What year did you graduate?
I think I'm 4 years older than you. 1991.
Okay, so you're a year older than my sister. My sister graduated in 92.
Can we not use adjectives like old or older? Can we just lay off that, Joe?
Yeah, we can. So you're more mature. You're more mature than my sister. Nah, that doesn't sound right either.
Doesn't sound right either. Experienced? Is that okay?
Yeah, no. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah,
Now we're
I
getting
am more
somewhere.
experienced.
In many ways
In
of the
many
Wandering
ways.
Troubadour.
Yes.
But take me back to then. Like, explain to me, because I don't have much of a story when it comes to like my birth of like this opening of my brain to music was I went from being spoon-fed whatever was on the radio. And the earliest, like, what I can remember is in 8th grade listening to like Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah.
And Hammer Time. That's what I remember as far as like the music I listened to was this stuff, whatever was on the radio when you turned on in the popular radio station in Detroit. That's what I listened to. And it was probably like that early rap. It was, I mean, honestly, that's what it was. It was MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, Belle Biv DeVoe. Like, these are the bands that like I remember in like 8th grade. I remember seeing kids with like 9 Inch Nails shirts.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to 9 Inch Nails. I didn't know who that was. And so then the next year I go to high school, and like I said, this girl starts playing Pearl Jam and Nirvana. And then that led me to Green Day, which then led me to kind of those like underground, like skater tapes, like the Thrasher tapes.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to mislead anybody. I wasn't listening to like NoFX and Bad Religion and stuff like that on those tapes, but I knew that they were out there. And then I had seen, and I know I've mentioned it prior, then I started getting into watching on ESPN2. Excuse me. Man, one sec. ESPN2, when I got home from school, would show skateboarding and surfing and all these kind of like extreme sports back then.
Yeah.
And the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Someday I Suppose, came on.
Right.
And that turned my world upside down. My path, my fork in life went from, this is no joke, I literally thought I was going to be like a professional soccer player. I thought I was going to be like a professional goalie. I thought I was going to play soccer, graduate high school, and like, be like just a goalie for the rest of my life in some league, whether it was in a huge league or just enough to make money to get by. I was like, well, I guess that's an option. And then all of a sudden I hear the Boss Tones, and it just sent me in a completely different direction to then forming the Insiders and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
I don't have this like really cool kind of story behind it, and it sounded like you do. I want to hear more about this. I want to hear more about you listening to music and desiring something, and that need wasn't being met, and then you heard Nirvana.
Yeah, so I don't think my story's cool either, because I listened to like what my parents listened to. My mom just listened to the radio. She didn't have anything to play albums. I remember like in maybe 5th, 6th grade, I got a Walkman, but I only had like 3 albums. I had like Weird Al, Dare to Be Stupid. I had the Top Gun soundtrack. And then I had the band Boys Don't Cry. Not the album Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. The band Boys Don't Cry, which is the band that sang that song, I Want to Be a Cowboy. So...
What a 3 crazy albums to own.
Right. I listened to it on iTunes
Weird
the other
Al,
day, and I was
Kenny
like, dude, this is pretty good.
And Boys Don't Cry.
Weird Al, yeah. Kenny Loggins, and then I think Kenny Rogers. No.
It is delicious chicken.
I think later I got like the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, which was so cool. Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah, Axel F.
But like my dad listened to rock. He listened to like a lot of ELO and ABBA, the Beatles, Queen. So a lot of my music taste came from my dad. But I always liked heavier stuff, and I wasn't getting it. And so I remember like being in 5th grade, I somehow got like a 5-record set of Beethoven, because I was just like, this is kind of what I want. It's heavy. Like, you know, like he wrote like more symphonic stuff, like, you know, like Beethoven's Fifth. It's like dun 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 dun. I'm like, that. I want that, but heavier. And so, you know, like I moved to Denver. I was still not really listening to good music. I was kind of listening to what my friends had. But then in 6th grade, 7th grade, I met Keith, the bass player from Firearm. And he was way into Christian music, but not just like the Amy Grant album that we had. He was into like Petra and Whiteheart, and so he showed me these bands, and it was blowing my mind because it was heavier, and I was like, this is cool. This is so cool. And so he and I became like best friends. We go down to the Bible bookstore, and it just steamrolled. Like there was Stryper. Stryper was kind of cool. It took me a bit to figure out that was a dude singing. But like Stryper, Petra, This Means War, still one of my favorite albums. It's so good. But like all of that went through like the Christian market for me. So then it just kept getting heavier and heavier. And I think the market was allowing for more of it. So slowly there was like more and more heavy bands, and they would sing about moshing, and then there'd just be like, you ended up with like bands like The Crucified, who were like basically a punk band that became a speed metal band, like a thrash band, but with a lot of punk influences, and then slowly deviating to just be like, I want more punk, like I want more of that. And like really, I was really into thrash, got into like a lot of early Christian death metal bands, and then Keith and I were like, we should do this. We should start a band. So we started a thrash metal band with Micah and his brother, which ended up turning into Five Iron Frenzy eventually. But it was that. And then like as soon as like Nirvana came out and Dookie hit, it was like, what is this? Like I knew about punk, like I knew about bands like Suicidal Tendencies and Black Flag and stuff. Yeah. But like kind of the gutter punk didn't really do it for me. I like more melodic stuff, which is why I wanted like Metallica and thrash metal. And plus I was still like in that kind of evangelical Christian vein where you couldn't listen to secular music until I moved out. And then I was just like, you know what? This is not corrupting me. I'm going to buy back my Metallica album that my youth pastor's wife threw out. And so that happened. I also went to an inner city school. So like rap like MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice would have been scoffed at. So all my friends listen to actual rap, like Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, like good stuff. Two Live Crew was like just kind of this rebellious thing. They sucked though. But like Public Enemy has got to be like one of the greatest rap groups of all time.
Yeah, I remember Two Live Crew when I was in like 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. I remember Two Live Crew, but it was almost like it was a novelty album. It was the same thing as Weird Al. Like Weird Al, I'll never make fun of Weird Al. Like Weird Al is an amazing, like he's phenomenal at what he does.
Yeah.
And his songs, for as funny as they are, they're catchy. They're all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
That was Two Live Crew. Like Two Live Crew was just for shock value.
Right.
It was a novelty rap group. I agree with you there.
Yeah, so I was into rap, and it was funny because Keith was a little bit, and then Micah's super into rap. Like he loved rap. It was funny because he loved rap and metal. So we would just listen to music together, and there wasn't very good Christian rap at that point.
No.
But the metal bands, there were some tight Christian metal bands.
I remember my youth pastor's son. His name was Josh, and me and Josh were boys. And so our youth pastor would get, I think he was part of like, probably some album of the month or, whatever that you could sign up for as a youth pastor, and some company would send you all this stuff to play for your youth group. So my youth group was always, I would say back then, like cutting edge on like whatever was the forefront of music.
Yeah.
And me and Josh, he basically swiped this one tape because his dad's like, I'm not going to play this like at youth group. And it was the rap group ETW, the End Time Warriors. Do you remember them?
Yes.
And so we would listen to ETW all the time. They had a boat. And so his dad's name was Mark, and shout out to Mark Urich, one of the most amazing Christ-loving dudes I've ever met in my life. When I was a kid, not only was he my youth pastor when I was a teenager, but when I was younger than that, our church hired him. He was in the Marines. This guy who was in the Marines got out of the Marines, was a Marine recruiter, and our church hired him like part-time to kind of like help out with the kids ministry. And he did a thing called Marshall Mark. And so he would put on a cowboy hat and a vest and his Colt guns. Like he would have like toy guns and stuff like that. He had a sheriff's badge, and he was Marshall Mark. And he would every Sunday, man, like he would preach to the kids as Marshall Mark. And so you went to school, or you went to Sunday school, and there was like he had like a little set built. So when you walked into your Sunday school room, there was like a little set built that was like a little Western set. And Marshall Mark would bring the thunder every Sunday, man. And to this day, and then when I grew up, he grew up with us, and then he became like the youth pastor for the teens. Was a phenomenal guy. And even to this day, if you look him up on like YouTube, or not YouTube, on Facebook, he puts out like daily messages and kind of Bible studies. This dude is phenomenal guy. And so off on a tangent there, but he had a boat. So one of the things, like I think when he got out of the Marines, he bought like a boat. He bought like I remember it was a 23-foot Larson. And so we would go out in Michigan on Lake St. Clair. So Lake St. Clair, if you're looking at Michigan, it looks like a mitten, and to the right of the thumb, there's Lake St. Clair that then narrows and turns into the Detroit River, which then empties into Lake Erie. And so they had a boat at a marina that was out on Lake St. Clair. And in the summer, we would go out there on his boat like a few times a week, spend the summers out on his boat, and we would always listen to ETW. And our parents would get sick of it because we listened to that nonstop. That was like, to us, we were in probably 5th, 6th grade.
Yeah.
It was the coolest back then. And if you listen to it now, it is so hard to stomach.
Oh my gosh.
It's that late 80s, early 90s like Christian rap. Uh-huh. It was brutal.
Did you listen to Mike Peace ever?
I remember the name, but I wouldn't know any songs.
It was like my first experience with Christian rap, and it was a lot of just like, well, he's talking about the Lord. It's okay. But then, like, do you remember PID?
No, I
PID
don't.
was like almost a straight Run DMC ripoff, but it was still good. It was decent. Yeah.
I remember ETW, the End Time Warriors, and then once the Insiders got going and you're at like the Gospel Music Awards and you're at all that stuff, the next kind of groundbreaking rap that I remember was the Gospel Gangsters.
Yes.
And the
But they
Gospel
were
Gangsters,
good. They were legit.
Yeah, they were.
I think those guys
good.
got a Grammy.
Yeah, those guys like they brought kind of legitimacy to it. And then after that, like there was John Rubin. Like John Rubin was rad. He was fantastic. I enjoyed his stuff. And now you got
Rats. No, like by the 90s, Christian rap was okay. It was like keeping up.
Yeah, and now you got guys like Lecrae, who's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's a large stable of Christian rap, but as far as Lecrae goes, I mean, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting that whole time. And for me, like going back, you said that you listened to a lot of your parents, what your parents listened to. I mean, I think we all do as kids, right? You're in the car, you just listen to what they listen to. My mom was huge into like what we would consider butt rock. Like my mom loved Boston, Journey, Survivor. I'm a huge Survivor fan. I'm a huge Huey Lewis and the News fan because of my mom.
That's
like
cool.
That's just ingrained within me. Is Huey Lewis? I love him. I will rock that all his music till the day I die. And same with Survivor. I love Survivor. But my mom was into all that butt rock, and she just and then my dad was he was into it too because I think she was into it. But then my dad would kind of. What's funny is like my dad was always this like this tough guy. Like my dad always talks tough. My dad's the first one to like punch somebody in the nose if they look at him wrong. My dad's that guy, like quick to fight guy. But what's funny is my dad's style of music doesn't reflect that. So my dad is this guy that wants to like at any moment he's a hair trigger away from just beating the crap out of you if you look at him wrong. Even now in his late 60s, I'll be at a bar with him and he'll look at some guy and be like, "What are you looking at? You got a problem?" And the guy's like, "Oh, dude," I just cleaned it up too. Less than 5 years ago, I was at a bar with my father, and he had a couple of pops, a couple of ginger ales, and this dude at lunch. It's lunchtime, and we were day drinking. And this dude comes into the bar and sits down. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take like a burger and fries and like a Miller Lite." And literally the guy's picking up the burger to take a bite of it, and just his eyes just flicker towards my dad at the same time that my dad looks at him. And my dad's like, "You got a problem? You got a problem? You staring at me? Is there an issue?" And I'm like, "Dad, the dude's eating his burger like he's an insurance guy, and he's here on his lunch hour. He just wants to eat his burger and his burger and fries. And I don't even think he ordered a beer. It was probably like a Coke."
Yeah.
And my dad's like, "Well, if he's got something to say, why doesn't he just say it?" Now, mind you, the guy's probably 10 feet away. And the guy was just like, "Check, please." the guy wanted nothing to do with it. And I was like, "Dad, you just ruined this guy's lunch, man. The guy didn't want to fight. He's all this stuff." So that's always been my dad. And what's funny is, so here he is, no skin on his knuckles because he's always fighting. He's always getting in barroom brawls. But yet the music he listened to was folk.
Oh my gosh.
So my mom was into butt rock, and my dad was huge into folk. And even now, my dad likes country music, but he loves folk rock, like, Simon and Garfunkel, James Taylor, and like the early James Taylor, Arlo Guthrie.
Wow.
Little River Band, Three Dog Night. Like, those are all guys that, like, those are the bands that, like, my dad loved. And I always found that so weird. It's kind of like, for me, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. It's kind of like, for me, like Kiss, the band Kiss, their look doesn't match their music.
No, not at all. It's just like, there's gonna be a gnarly pit at this concert.
Yeah.
Look at that guy breathe fire, and then you're just like, what?
And then they sing Beth. And you're like, what? You're like, what? Even like, I wanna rock and roll all night.
Yes.
And part of every day. And you're like, are you kidding? Like, even that, like their most famous song, or like Detroit Rock City. And
Yeah.
It doesn't match their look.
Yes,
like,
they should all dress like Peter Criss, and then you'd be like, yes, I understand now.
Yes, because when you see him
Cat
come out,
makeup?
you're like,
yeah, got it.
yeah, you see him come out, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like Pantera. This is gonna be like Slayer, and it's not.
No.
And it's so weird. Like, AC/DC is harder than Kiss. All these like The Who is harder than Kiss. So it's just like, are you kidding me? It always shocks me. And so that's what it was with my dad. So my mom was butt rock. My dad was all about like folk and a little country, John Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Although my mom will tell you that she doesn't like CCR, but I remember listening to him growing up and stuff like that. But that was my music that I listened to, and that's kind of what's ingrained in me. Like, I love that even today. And then it was just kind of listen to what was spoon-fed to you, and then, boom, Nirvana and Pearl Jam 10. I like, my revisionist history, like my brain wants to gravitate towards, no, Kurt Cobain, because of who he was, really changed my music, but it wasn't. Like, if I'm being honest, it was Pearl Jam 10, because that, like I said, it played for, man, I wish I could remember that girl's name. I'll have to bust out a yearbook to look it up. But that girl, because it was like the big album at the time, for 2 weeks straight, for 1 hour every morning, I would just listen to Pearl Jam 10 on repeat. Even Flow, Alive.
Even Flow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still alive. Yeah. And
It's
then
such a good album.
Jeremy Spoken class today.
It's so good.
Man. It was good stuff. So I would have to say that was more influential for me than Nirvana. That led me to Nirvana, which then led me to Green Day. And I would then say Green Day was probably the most influential in my, like, when I started listening to Green Day, when that Dookie album came out, that, like, the only way I can kind of describe it is like if you play a video game, like if you play like Zelda, you could go around certain parts of the map and you were just kind of stuck there. Yep. And then you would like defeat something or unlock a door that unlocked this whole other section of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. For music, for me, it was like I was stuck in this little room and I could enjoy what was in that room. And Green Day kind of unlocked this door that led to a warehouse. And then in that warehouse, I found the Boss Tones, and then that's like the section that I wanted to stay in. But if it wasn't for Green Day, so people who down Green Day nowadays,
how can you talk shit about Green Day.
I don't know.
Like-
It's funny.
Like, you
people
might
do.
not like their music, but you have to appreciate what they did for music.
Yeah,
Like-
I agree.
Oh,
And-
plus
and
they're
here-
cool guys.
And the other thing is, like, I always look at it. People are like, "Well, they're not punk." I look at it as, I don't know how much more punk you can be by doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
that is
they
the
have-
most garbage thing to say. Like quantifying somebody's punkness.
Correct.
Like, punk is just basically doing what you want and not caring what other people think.
Exactly.
So somebody listening to folk, like when their whole family is metalheads, like that's punk.
Yeah.
Technically. I mean, it's not punk rock, but it's punk.
But yeah, punk is a mindset. Like, you know, I think when I was, to me, there's two sides of the coin. Like, I can hear music and I can say this is punk. Like, this is a style of punk. But then there is also the punk mindset
Yeah.
where you can have bands like take Arlo Guthrie. Take Arlo Guthrie. I mean, he was an old folk
Woody.
singer.
Yeah, go with
exactly.
his dad.
Yeah. And like, you know, he had, what was it on his acoustic guitar? It said, "This machine, kills fascists." Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a
punk
punk
as fuck.
mentality. Exactly. Punk AF.
Yes.
You know, that punk mentality, it might not come through in the music because that music wasn't known at that point. But as far as Green Day goes, you know, they put out, you know, all their early stuff on Lookout. Then they put out Dookie, which hit it huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they put out what was the one, American Idiot, which is a rock opera.
Yeah,
They
they
put out-
made it into a musical, which is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
they were like
you
the
can be
first-
like, it's like what people don't like is it's mainstream, and they don't view punk as being mainstream because it's
Correct.
Because like the culture of punk is counter to mainstream culture, but you can't deny that that's good music. You might be like, I don't like it. It's not my taste, but it's influential, and it's like it did so much for music. For me personally, same as you. Like when Dookie hit, all of a sudden it was like we leveled up. Like we can go outside of this small world. Like all of a sudden I was listening to NoFX and Rancid and the Suicide Machines and Les and Jake, and like it opened up everything.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, whereas before it was just like this super narrow world. And I think
Yeah.
the other thing is like the radio kind of controlled it. You know, like in your town, you have like 4 rock radio stations, 2 oldies, like one that plays like adult contemporary, and then one that played rock. And what went through that rock radio station was not even as heavy as Kiss usually. It was
Right.
not. Like there'd be like glam metal, not very heavy until Nirvana, and then especially Green Day.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it was there, and like MTV is playing all that stuff, and then all of a sudden it's just like in the 90s, I think they sold more albums than all of music history combined.
Green Day did?
No, like music. Just all of music history combined up to that point had not sold as much as they did in the 1990s.
Oh,
So
wow.
before the advent of Napster and before people were sharing music and you could get it download stuff, you know, like you could get CDs, and at first CDs were the same as records. It was $12 or $20, $17, but by 1995, there were so many bands and so many CDs that CDs were cheaper. And not only that, but like the used CD stores everywhere. Like you could just go for a day and flip through everything at Amoeba Records, like in Berkeley or like in LA, and you would not see all the records. Like, and they were $1. It was everywhere. And so
Yeah.
music all of a sudden was like super accessible. It's way more now because you can have, you can have Apple Music or Spotify or Pandora.
Yeah.
You can listen to whatever you want for $10 a month. But like
Yeah.
at that point, all of a sudden, it was like the entire world was available. And, like people would buy it, like bands that were making, that garage bands that had no audience, they were able to make albums for cheaper and they were coming out and you could access it in all kinds of different styles. It was so cool. So like you can talk shit about Green Day because you don't like their music, but you have to give them props for bringing that to fruition. Like that is amazing.
Funny? Isn't it funny when you use the phrase like you cannot like them because their style of music? To me, my brain can't even fathom that. Like I can't fathom. It's like somebody saying I don't like pizza. Like who doesn't like pizza? Who doesn't like just a catchy song? And Green Day they are the masters of the 3 or 4 chord sing along, easy, like just an easy song to sing or play or any of that. They're the masters of it. And so it's weird when, when I do hear that, when people are like, oh, I'm not a Green Day fan, or how you just said it. Like, I understand there's people that might not be the style you like. You just might not like it, but you can't deny how good it is. My brain, I can't even figure out how someone doesn't like it.
We talked about how I don't like the Beatles. Like, I respect the Beatles. I like their music. Let's go back. I don't respect the Beatles as people. I respect them as songwriters immensely.
Right.
It bums me out so much that they just don't care about their fans. I think Ringo does.
Well, he has to.
He's awesome. But like, I don't know. It's undeniable that they changed music history. That every rock band after the Beatles wanted to be the Beatles, or was somehow influenced by the Beatles, or a band that was influenced by the Beatles.
Yeah.
There's no band after that.
Right.
And so you have to respect that. And this, I'm not saying Green Day is the Beatles, but like the reason that you know about punk is that.
Right.
Like
the reason My Chemical Romance is known by that generation is because of Green Day. And then the next one, whoever the next one, AFI, is because of Green Day. And then the next one is because that's what it was, because Rancid wasn't trying to get on. I remember when Green Day was really big, I read an article in AP with Rancid, and Rancid was like cutting down Green Day, saying that they weren't punk and all that stuff, because they said no punk band will ever sell 1 million records. And then Green Day came out and they were knocking, Green Day because they sold 1 million records. And then what happened? There out come the wolves. And everyone had been turned on to Green Day. And then from Green Day, you got turned on to Rancid, to Bad Religion. All of a sudden, Op Ivy albums start knocking out because people are like, oh, this, Green Day used to be on Lookout, and who else was on Lookout? Op Ivy, and all this stuff, and suddenly, like, Rancid's like eating their words because they're like, no punk band will ever sell 1 million copies, and then they put out Come the Wolves, and
it
it's
could
just
have
like,
been just those two cousins, Billy Joe and Tim Armstrong, talking shit about each other.
Right, maybe. All right, you guys, we are coming to the end of the free portion of this. If you have not signed up to be a Patreon, it's $5 a month. We're going to be going on here to talk about eating and nutrition. I know we've talked about favorite places to eat and stuff like that in the past one, but this is going to be more while you're moving across the country. What are you eating? Stuff like that. How are you trying to stay within nutrition? Also, we're going to be talking about hygiene on those long trips and stuff like that, and the bad routing. So basically, when you have bad routing of trips and you have to drive from one place all the way to another place, what are we eating? How are we cleaning ourselves? That's what we're going to be talking on the next portion, which is the paid portion. If you guys haven't thought about it, please think about it. It's $5 a month. And it unlocks all that stuff for you. You can do higher if you want. If you enjoy the show and you wanna pay more and get more back from us, you can do that. But the $5 level unlocks it, and it at least allows you to have an extra 4 hours of content a month. So instead of just your 4 that you're listening to, you can have 8. And so if you enjoy that, that would be rad. You can check us out on Patreon to be able to do that. But I think we're going to bring this to an end. Reese, do you have anything to add?
I love you guys. Sorry about my swearing, Mom.
Yeah. So suck it. Bye. Peace. Pizza, pizza.
We love pizza.
For more shows like this one, visit rockcandyrecordings.com.